Talk Speedway. Talk Speedway.
Hello and welcome to the Talk Speedway podcast. We are recording post AGM or past AGM. I don't know how to say it, but Griff, are we after, before, after, post? You name it.
we're post, we're after.
Post,
yeah, absolutely.
Yep. I always get mixed up with that, but we're here anyway. We're going to talk about the AGM. We're actually going to take a view from the Championship and probably more general kind of topics for the AGM, because there's a lot to discuss for the Premiership side of things. So we're going to split it up into kind of two podcasts. And joining us very shortly on the podcast will be Management Committee member Stewart Dickson. Of course, Stewart just been added to the Management Committee there for 2018, Griff. As I say, Paul Griffiths joining me in this podcast. Paul, we're obviously, as I say, kind of focusing on the more general kind of items for the AGM and the kind of Championship aspects. Just to look through the kind of general stuff first, the tacky sub, no promotion, false starts, that kind of thing. What was the kind of thing that kind of stood out to you as the main topic that's come out for the AGM?
I think in general, and this affects both leagues, but it has a massive effect, I think, on the Championship, is the fixed race nights.
Yeah.
Which, although we're looking at this from a Championship point of view, it can only be a good thing for them. I felt, I don't know whether you feel the same way, Scott, but the sport in the last couple of years was absolutely strangling itself with regards to the doubling up and the fixture clashes, particularly when you've had some bad weather and you've got to rearrange fixtures. I don't think there was a team in any of the three leagues last year that didn't get affected by riders being missing because they were having to ride for one of their other teams. So they had to do something, and I think that's the most sensible way forward. What do you think, Scott? Do you feel?
I'm slightly more cynical on that, which I think we'll probably get to later on, kind of in the podcast, probably after Stuart will kind of speak on that. I don't think that particularly kind of affects the Championship. If I look through the teams, for talking sake, there's not one of them that doesn't ride between a Thursday and Sunday anyway. So kind of involving the Championship in the major announcements that is fixed race nights, I don't. If we were a fixed race night for a Friday for everybody, then I would say it was more of a radical change. But I don't really. It's more how the effects from the Premiership down, the fact that they can't ride on the nights.
Yes.
But again, we'll talk about that in a Premiership podcast.
Yeah, I think that's what I was trying to say, Scott. I think that's what that was my point. Is that you're not going to get riders missing from the Championship because they're riding for their Premier League team. That's the point I was trying to make.
For me, the biggest omission from the Championship one is the fact that there's no restrictions. So you've got a 42.5 point limit in the two now, the Premiership and Championship. Obviously, last season, teams were restricted to have a certain amount of British riders on their side. Now there's no restrictions and a higher points limit. I think it can only. I think the standard's going to be a lot stronger in the Championship this year.
I think so, but there's an extra club as well. You've got that's got to be factored in, hasn't it? So
absolutely. But I don't know how good I think this is for British Speedway. I mean, as we've spoke previously, I'm kind of big on the youth development side of it, and I don't like kind of looking at the National League as a development league as it is. I think people are that's their standard, if you know what I mean, and that's the standard they race at. But the fact that I said years ago when it first came out, the elite draft system as it was the first time it came out, I said it would need 5 years. They would need 5 years to get it going and stuff, and they gave it, I think, 2, and they phased it out with kind of the way they done it was, I don't think was the best, but I think people don't have patience with things. I don't think there was some riders that worked for. I think you could probably say like kind of Stevie Worrell, Louis Kerr, Adam Ellis. There's more that I'll forget that are off the top of my head. James Sargent, Jason Garrity, Charles Wright. There's riders that it worked for. Obviously, there's riders that it isn't. Not everybody's going to come through that system perfectly, but I don't think you could give it enough time. It then gets switched to the Championship last year for one season. That's then been ditched as well. I've read comments from certain promoters saying that it helps them team building wise because they don't need to build for the bottom up. But
Yeah, yeah, but I agree. I think I think in principle it was a good idea, but I think they picked the wrong league in the first place for it, didn't they? I think it should have started in the second tier.
I think it should have, and then progressed it into the top tier for like the kind of, if you were say they created something like an elite level draft rider or something, and then they get moved into, like, get made available to go up the way. But as I say, I think they went about it all the wrong way, and again, it's probably another example of short-sightedness, really.
But again, it certainly didn't work properly, did it? And
no, it's probably a bigger discussion for a bigger time. But that, for me, that was the biggest omission from the was the kind of lack of anything to do with any sort of kind of clear pathway for development. But such as life. But as I say, we're going to speak to Stewart Dickson just now and get his take on it. We're going to speak about kind of a number of things here, Griff, because obviously Stuart's got a number of hats that he had on at the weekend there. So he was kind of acting as a promoter for Glasgow, and now he's been put onto the management committee. As well, so can only be a good decision. But as I say, we'll cover lots of topics with Stewart. So we'll get to him now. Stewart, there's lots of changes. Yourself onto the management committee for one, and a few changes in the championship. But going by the reaction of fans on social media, they seem happy with the changes that's been made.
Yeah, I think you're right, Scott. I mean, I think at the pre-AGM, we had discussions when I think the general conversation was that we had to start listening to supporters. They are the paying public, and I think, hopefully that it's a step in the right direction. I wouldn't say everything's right, but I think there is steps in place. I think personally at the AGM there over the weekend that hopefully will appease the supporters, because they are the most important people in the business. I think people tend to forget that. Obviously, fixed race nights will hopefully stop the use of guests and rider replacements. I know that for Edinburgh supporters last season, I think we've seen one complete 1-7 in all the home matches for a visiting team last season, which is ridiculous. I mean, so for that point of view, I know teams want to see the 1-7s that are advertised on the BSP websites, and rather than changes galore on race day, and there's always changes to press releases. So hopefully that will help it in itself for the set race nights. I think the black and white double points thing, I don't think it's ever really been accepted, whether it's done through TV for commercial rights. I'm not 100% sure, but that's now away, and it's back to what we call the old style. The act sub. I know it's only one per meeting. I think there's also been a look at costing in that, because if you brought out your top three riders have been used 3 times or as many times as it was in the past, it could be quite expensive, and with the lack of a TV deal at the moment, I may add, it could be rather expensive for teams over the course of the season. And obviously we've looked at the start problems, because when you go to a meeting now, supporters don't want to see 8, 9, 10 heats getting restarted. It's becoming a joke, and even when I think we all seen good starts last season, and referees were getting to the stage they weren't sure if it was a good start or the riders. So I think what we're trying to do is basically, if you touch the tapes, you're out. If you don't, you're away, and hopefully that will maybe solve some of the problems there, because it was getting to the stage, how can you tell when it was a good start or somebody was at it? It was just getting, the riders were getting too good at it. So hopefully we've took a few of the things on board. As I say, it wasn't all going to get done in the one full swoop, but I think it's a few changes in the right direction, certainly.
The league, the team points average has been increased this season, Stuart, to 42.5 in both divisions. I'm saying the Premiership and Championship. At Championship level, there's obviously no restrictions as there were last year. What was the thinking behind that?
I think last season, the 40 points was voted in, whether it be the right or the wrong reason. And I think clubs at the time, as we always do, think that by reducing the points limit, it's maybe going to help on costs. But I think a lot of clubs found that, you know, when you do that, that maybe riders at the bottom end, your sixes and your sevens, then go asking for what we call a guarantee, maybe of 3 or 4 points a meeting. So if they don't score those points, they're getting paid for it regardless. I felt that the majority of clubs were feeling they were paying out that sort of money anyway, which is well just having a limit of 42.5 and maybe having a reserve on a 3 or 4 point average who's going to score the equivalent anyway of the 3 or 4 points. So, and so to speak, he's earning the money. I'm not saying the rider is still trying, but if a rider fails to score or only scores 1 point, if he's worked out a deal to get maybe paid for 3 or 4 points guaranteed, because you can understand why a rider starting out the sport will ask for that. It's a long way to go and a long way to travel to not get any wage pack at the end of it, because he's still got wear and tear in his engine, you know, travel, etc. So I think the reason behind trying to bring it to 40 was to try and save money, but effectively it didn't end up. So I think getting back up to 42.5 is nearer the mean average, and I think it's probably a sensible decision. And as I say, it's maybe get team strengths back to what they should be.
Stuart, I'm going to ask you probably your first question in an interview that you've had as part of the management committee. In the press release, it says a number of working groups have been set up for the medium and long-term good of the sport. That's pretty vague. Can you shed some light on that for us, what that actually means?
It is pretty vague. I think what the reason is, the thinking behind it is, when you've maybe got 25 people there, you've got a lot of opinions, you've got a lot of personalities and ideas, and sometimes I've been to these meetings over the years when people are speaking and they talk about, we're maybe going to try and do this, or we're going to maybe try and get a marketing, we're going to maybe talk about this and try and maybe go and seek sponsorships and that. So what I think they've done is we're going to try and get into groups of maybe 3 or 4 and do specific duties and try and target sponsorship for the leagues, etc. So what they're doing is, there's a lot of clever people in the room, and people might laugh at that, but you know, you can't be good at everything, and there is certain people within the BSPA that are more specialised at other stuff than other people are. And I think they're now doing randomly, they're going to select them and try to put them into smaller groups, and as I say, target specific areas that maybe we've been slow to react on before. And I think I'm not going to divulge too much on it at the moment, but that's basically where they're heading in that sort of direction, and I can't really add too much on that at the moment, but that's roughly what they mean.
Lakeside have joined the Championship again in 2018 after a spell in the National League. Do you think National League Speedway just didn't work out for them?
I don't think they got the crowds that they expect to get. I just don't think the Lakeside fans supported National League racing. I think you've got to remember they were in the top flight pardon me, for several years, and I think they'd hoped to do maybe an Eastbourne, and I don't think it worked out for them. So they've decided to apply for the championship, where they'll run on a Saturday night, I believe, and I'm pretty sure they'll put a very competitive side together, and I expect it to be up to the challenge, and from what I'm hearing, the moves that they're already making. But I just don't think that the Lakeside fans took to the championship after, you know, having League Speedway for so many years, and maybe, I think, without TV money on the table at this moment in time, I don't think they could afford the risk of coming back into the Premiership, and I think they see the Championship as some happy medium in the middle here.
Stuart, just to put you with your Glasgow cap on now, Glasgow have made the long-awaited switch to Friday night racing. Obviously, since the new promotions come in, this is something that they've pushed for. What difference do you think that will make to the club?
I think that they're looking at it from, hopefully, that Saturday, we know Glasgow, unfortunately, it's a football daft city. We know that, and there's a lot to do on a Saturday in Glasgow, as there is on a Friday as well. We don't hide behind that fact, but we just feel that, that we can grow a fan base on a Friday night. We're hoping that lots of the companies and work areas, all around the Glasgow city centre, they're already in the city on a Friday. But my job, amongst others, to go out and hopefully try and get hospitality, sponsorship. They're already in the city on a Friday, to get them to go to the Speedway on a Friday from work, from the offices, get them to come along to Ashfield, fill the stadium, get the hospitality suites filled up, and obviously families as well. There's no school the next day, as there was with Saturday as well, don't get me wrong, but we're just hopefully hoping that Friday night, I know it's a long time ago, Friday night was the night for Speedway at Glasgow. There's certainly generations passed since then, but our marketing research team have told us they feel Friday is the best way to go. We have got there, and now it's up to us to prove we have to get up off our backsides again and work extremely hard to make it a success.
And of course, team building starts now, Stuart.
Yeah, team building. We are always pretty active and pretty quick. We had made one or two inquiries before, obviously the AGM, but you're never quite sure. The promoters, we do a pre-AGM and they can agree on a points limit, but until it's passed at the AGM, it can change. So we've had certainly a few riders contact us, two particularly, out of the blue, which I've got to be honest, one contacted one of the owners direct, and one contacted myself, and I was quite surprised. So it gave us a bit of food for thought, because they were a bit further down south than what Glasgow would normally go for. So we're certainly on the move. We won't be slow, Scott, that's for sure. And I think, hopefully, we've got a function on Saturday night. We'll certainly be announcing one, if not two riders, on Saturday night at a function. Glasgow will not be slow, I can assure you that.
Talk Speedway. Talk Speedway.
Big thanks to Stewart Dickson for joining us in the Talk Speedway podcast. Of course, you can get in touch with the podcast via social media. We are on Twitter at Talk Speedway. We're also on Facebook and Instagram at Talk Speedway Podcast. And of course, you can email the show, talkspeedwaypodcast@gmail.com. And of course, check out our website at talkspeedway.co.uk. Griff, some interesting points Stuart's brought up there, just about the kind of how they've reached some decisions. One of the things I want to kind of kick off speaking to you about is the false start part that he was talking about. From what I can take from what Stuart said is that basically if you drop the clutch before the tapes go up but you don't touch the tapes, flyers are fair game now. You're
okay. Well, that's how it always used to be, isn't it? Until they, got really, really hot on riders moving about or moving just before the tapes had gone. I've got just something to throw into this, because when you then go and ride at FIM level, World Championship level, or World Cup, or whatever it might be, you're going to be then riding under two different types of starting arrangements, aren't you? It's okay doing it in the league and getting used to it, but if you've got to use a different technique in a different type of meeting, surely that's going to play havoc with the scramble their brains.
Exactly, but I don't agree with the concept of what Stuart said, or the reasoning that they came to this, where basically they don't want to see races getting pulled back.
No.
Speedway's an expensive sport to go into. I want to see people racing. I think what this is going to encourage is, I think it's going to encourage riders, because the thing is, if you're not a rider that normally does that, but suddenly this rule's been brought in where if you don't touch the tapes it's fair game, I think you're going to find that this will actually work the opposite way. I would happily place a bet with you right now, Griff. I know you're a betting man. I would happily bet that there'll actually be more races pulled back because riders is keeping up with the Joneses. If you've got a rider, for a fact you're coming to the tapes against a rider who likes to jump, who likes to drop it early, it becomes a mind game then, and you'll see more riders crashing the tapes. In my own opinion, that's what I think. I appreciate the reasoning behind it, and they don't want races pulled back, but I want to see riders racing. I don't want to see somebody making a start and just winning by half a lap.
Well, the problem is that so many times the riders have been pulled back when you watch it in super slow-mo, haven't actually jumped the start, have they? They just, because they've made a great start, the referees who are watching it in normal time have decided they must have jumped. I don't know.
I think there's definitely two sides to this coin.
Yeah. Well, maybe we should go back to breaking the tapes. I don't know, and then just everybody, pushing and shoving like they did back in the day.
The thing is that there's always been different starting techniques. I mean, I think we've went through all sorts of ones. To me, you've got to sit still until the tapes go. It doesn't get any simpler than that. The tapes move, you move, not you take a run at the tapes.
Yeah.
I don't know whether that's just the generation that I've grew up in and that's what the rules were, but I actually discussed this with a rider who's probably came from a motocross background. I'm not going to name because just for...
Yeah.
I don't want him to get into bother, but basically from motocross background, you can take a run at I think it's called a gate in motocross. That shows how much I know about it. So if you can take a run at the gate, but the thing with the gate there is that I'm assuming it's some sort of metal where the bike's not going to go through it.
It's solid, yeah.
Right, so basically, if you look at the riders, if you look through a list of riders who like to kind of get a quick getaway, so to speak, like to drop it before the tapes actually move, most of them have got a motocross background. It's not... You get where I'm coming from here, don't you?
Yeah, but are we just looking at it in a bit too much detail here? Don't you think that it probably isn't going to make any difference apart from some riders will get a flyer that they weren't allowed to get away with last year and perhaps the year before? I
know what you're saying, that we're looking at it in too much detail, but I think going with the premise of the reasoning they've came to this decision. Fundamentally, they came to this decision because they don't want as many races pulled back, when actually I think it'll work in the opposite way. That's what I'm... And I would happily bet that it works in the opposite way.
Well, you think that there's going to be more tape touching?
I don't think... Yeah, because I think, again, you'll get you'll get riders who don't particularly... That's not particularly in their makeup, but they're riding against riders who do not... They'll come against a rider, they go, they like to drop it a bit quicker, like a fast start, so they'll try and do it and they'll just crash the tape. So I actually do think that that's what will happen.
Well, we'll see, won't we?
But exactly, we will see. It will transpire throughout the season.
Are you going to promise now to keep stats on every race pulled back and
not in the slightest.
Well, how are you going to cash in on this bet that you're taking me on at then?
Because we've got a lot of listeners who'll pull me up for being wrong anyway. The thing is, this will spark debate anyway, because people listening to this will either say I'm talking nonsense or not, or they've not looked at it. But I'm pretty sure that somebody will remind me of this at some point when it's a massive success, and I was the only one that said it would fall flat on its face.
Might be me.
Exactly. As I said, we're looking at the kind of championship side of things. We spoke to Stewart there about Lakeside coming back into the league. It didn't seem to work for them down in the National League, but I think they'll be a great addition to the division. It's good to see them back into the middle tier of British Speedway, Paul.
Yes,
pretty traditional club within the sport.
Yeah, they've been around, a long time now, haven't they? In various names of Arena Essex and Lakeside, and they've been in the top division for a fair few years as well. With some success as well. It's always a shame when a promotion falls on hard times, but perhaps they've made the right decision in many ways to take a backward step. They haven't gone bust, and they've been able to readjust their business model. And if they are going to ride on a Saturday night, which is what Stewart was alluding to, perhaps they'll get the crowds in, because they were struggling in the top league on a Friday night. They had all sorts of issues with people, with traffic and people not being able to get there because of the Dartford crossing and everything else. So hopefully the Saturday nights will work for them.
And going with what Stuart said, team building plans there are well underway as well. Be interesting to see what kind of riders they're going to kind of target. Yeah,
it will. Yeah, you would imagine that they've got a crop of riders that they've employed in the past that they can potentially call on, and some track specialists as well, because there's no hiding away from the fact that there are certain riders who go well there and certain riders who don't.
Of course. Just to go through the kind of general things that's came up. The tactical sub rules came back. Griff, is this a welcome move in your eyes?
It is in mine. Yeah, I've never really liked the black and white helmet. It just seemed a bit alien to me. I think the more that you get the team managers to think and encourage the fans, we all want to play a team manager when we've got the programme in front of us, don't we? To try and call and make the changes. What Stewart did say, though, which is interesting, that there is only one tax sub, isn't there? Did you pick up on that, Scott?
Yep. Of course, you're not allowed to use it in Heat 8 either.
No. I mean, that always used to be the old traditional, didn't it? Double tax sub in Heat 8, yeah. But I think it's a welcome return, and I wouldn't mind it being rolled out so that teams potentially could use it more than once in a meeting. I do realise that then you'll get the pull to teams perhaps trying to go a little bit top heavy, but so that potentially in away matches they could use that to their advantage. But I like the tax sub rule. I think it's better. I think it's better than double points. I think it's just got more. It's less of a joker, isn't it? I mean, a joker is what you don't want in any kind of sport, do you? And that's exactly what the double points ride was.
I don't like it anyway. That's like, I know the analogies with other sports is always going to happen, but you can't imagine a team going 3-0 down in football and the other team getting a penalty so they can get back into the game. To me, it never ever made sense. I think it.
But making substitutions is all about sport, isn't it?
Exactly,
that's it. Yeah.
Just like you said, I like the fact that the team managers now have got to think they're more involved in the sport. It's not just a case of just stick the black and white helmet colour on and Heat 8. You know what I mean? It's they've got to actually think about what they're doing.
And it's more judgment than it is luck as well. The black and white situation often didn't occur particularly when you would want it. It has to fall right, doesn't it? You have the right rider in the race, and now you can make a proper tactical decision. It's been a long time in making a reappearance in my view, and good move. I like that one. What else have we got, Scott?
Sorry, just the quick one on that. When I was mentioning the protected Heat 8, would that not have been more sensible coming back in when a double points thing was in there?
Yes. Yeah.
Just to pick up on a negative. Sorry. Right, so moving on. Team GB stays the same. Alan Rossiter and Neil Vatcher, respectively, in the seniors and juniors there. I didn't see anything changing for that point of view either. Griff, did you? No
surprise there. You're not surprised, are you, that they've gone with the same two again?
Not at all. I think I agree with. I don't know if you've seen the video that the BSPA put out with Nigel Pearson, and I think Nigel said at one point in that Alan would argue that his record at that level stands up beside kind of any other ones in the modern era. I've got to agree with that, to be honest. I know Roscoe's got his backers and he's got his haters. He just seems to be that type of individual, really. But I like Roscoe as the manager, I must admit. And if we look about, is there really anybody that would be better for the job?
No, I think he's the man for the job at the moment, isn't he? Yeah, absolutely.
And of course,
you can't hope to change around a team in a short amount of time. The problem is with Speedway, an international Speedway, Team Speedway, World Team Speedways, you only get one tournament a year. It's only a couple of meetings a year, isn't it? It's not like it's like it was back in the day when we had test matches and such like, which is a shame, but there we go.
There is a couple of other points that we picked up on with Stuart. One being I don't think we actually picked up on the fact that there was no promotion and relegation between the two leagues, which was a bit of a damp squid for last year anyway. It never really worked, did it?
Oh no, it didn't, did it? No,
it's pretty pointless. It is pretty pointless because Speedway, like perhaps American sports, is probably you apply for each division rather than win your place in it.
Yeah, it was ill-conceived. If you look at it in the as a sporting as a sporting idea, of course it works. But when you've got the situation that particularly British Speedway had last year, when you've got riders riding in both leagues, it was always going to be something that was never going to pan out particularly well, was it?
No.
So,
and I think the way it worked out with the fact that it ended up between two clubs that had, behind the scenes, it was the same people. It kind of made it look a bit daft, really, didn't it?
It did, yeah. But I mean, maybe it needed that for people to just wake up and say, do you know, promotion and relegation doesn't work in Speedway, or doesn't work yet. There's no reason why it couldn't work, but of course, you've got to have the 140 or so riders that you need to populate two leagues, don't you?
What we did pick up on with Stewart, that there's working groups been established within the BSP now to further develop the medium and long term of the sport. Again, like I said to Stewart, it was pretty vague. How do we see this working? I mean, from what Stewart says, it's probably better to kind of divide and conquer, really. I think that's probably the best way to describe what they're trying to do.
I thought it was interesting. It's an interesting concept, really, because effectively, like you were saying, it was horses for courses, wasn't it, Scott? He said, people have got better skills in better areas. Maybe some are better at marketing, some are better at sales, or some are better at perhaps working out the rules and regulations. So try and work to people's strengths. Fixture planning, for example. Not everybody might not be able to get their head around that, but they might be able to go out there and sell the sport. So if they divide the workload out between people who have obviously put their hand up for it, you think that's a good idea, Scott?
I think the old saying of too many chefs spoil the broth and all that. If you've got too many opinions on one subject, but it also takes for, perhaps it's a good thing for, if you've got 4 promoters who are making a decision on something that affects another 4 promoters, it kind of takes it out their hands as well. So there's part of relinquishing control there, but which is probably a good thing, kind of giving responsibility to other individuals for what's going on within the sport. It's probably not a bad thing, really, because then you've not got 2 hats on, so to speak.
No, and it's also, you can't have 25 people all trying to make a call on one decision. Admittedly, at some stage you've got to vote on something, but if you've given somebody the responsibility, they're not going to change the face of Speedway, are they? But in their subcommittees or their working parties, but they're going to come up there with what they consider to be the best option. So. Yeah, well, let's see. Yeah, it's a good idea to try, I suppose.
I think the thing is, Paul, for the championship, there doesn't really seem to be a lot really happen at the AGM for the championship, really, other than the fact that the team building strategies kind of changed for this year, and Lakeside's come into it. There's not really a lot there that kind of affects them, but really it's all kind of subtle changes, to be honest.
Yeah. Has the League Cup changed, Scott? Is that a little bit different?
For what I can, there wasn't a League Cup last year.
No, that's right.
At the championship level, so I think
it's a regionalised thing this year. I believe.
I think the one moan I've seen from fans, which is pretty kind of trivial, is the fact that, again, there's a possibility if you're a kind of Edinburgh or Glasgow fan, you've got Edinburgh and Glasgow home and away League Cup, home and away league, and possibly in other competitions as well. It's really, you're back to the old racing the same team maybe 3 or 4 times a season. But again, see, within the course of a season anyway, that happens. If you go kind of deep into the cup or whatever, you're going to race the same team a couple of times anyway. So to me, it doesn't really matter that much. But I like the League Cup. I think it gives teams a chance and riders a chance to find their feet before the league starts. Because if you're being brutally honest, the league's the bread and butter. That's the competition you want to win.
Yeah.
And I think it's good to see in the Premiership as well that they've kept the KO Cup.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I love the cup competitions. I always have. I think it was a great shame when we lost the Knockout Cup in the top tier. But thankfully that's back again. Yeah.
Yep. Just to take it to more fan opinion, Paul. We've ran a number of polls on Twitter to which we've had great responses. One of the polls we ran actually was, do Speedway fans actually want fixed race nights, or is it the riders that want it? That was more me kind of getting at the fact when you see riders saying about kind of fixed race nights, it seems to so it fits in with their schedule. So really I was wanting to know whether fans actually wanted fixed race nights. The poll was quite interesting in this one, Paul, the fact that it went 59% to 41% that fans actually wanted the fixed race nights, but to me that's quite a tight poll. When we've ran polls in the past, there's been kind of outright winners really, and there's been a kind of definite opinion, but that one's quite tight. Do you know where I'm coming from? It's really a split that fans kind of see that it's actually, it might be riders more than fans that actually want that.
Well, I think you can look at it from two points of view, can't you? The riders want it because they want to ride in two leagues, and the fans want it because they don't want to see, as I alluded to earlier, they don't want to see the riders that they think are in their team riding for somebody else on the same day, and they have to look at Mr. Rider replacement.
I think one of the main problems is that there's not enough riders that want to ride in the UK going around. I think
that's the problem, isn't it?
Fundamental problems,
that's what I was saying before, about promotion and relegation. Until you've got enough riders to fill 17 places in both leagues, let's leave the National League out of this for a moment. You can't possibly have promotion and relegation, can you? Because it just makes a mockery of it. So, we need more riders.
With Paul, overriding opinion of the AGM, you can include the Premiership in this because obviously we'll speak to Graham in our next podcast about the kind of Premiership side of things. So overriding opinion from the AGM, would you say it was a success?
I don't know yet, Scott. It's always difficult at this time of year. We've got quite a small amount of comments or a small amount of press releases with regards to how actually everything's going to pan out and work out. And you always find, don't you, that what sometimes you think, now that sounds like a good idea, and then when you get nearer the season starting, a little bit more information comes out, and you think, well, perhaps that wasn't quite what I thought it was going to be. I mean, I'm not saying I've seen anything like that yet, but there's more to come, isn't there? There's more to come out of this, what's been talked about in the AGM. So I don't think there's anything there that I think, oh no, that's a shocker. You and Graham will no doubt talk about the 8-point rider in the Premier League. That's probably created the most stir. But like you say, in the Championship, not a great deal has changed. But I think, like you said, the subtle change is the increase in the points limit. A new team in there. What I would consider when you look at the list of riders that are available to the Championship teams, they should be able to build pretty strong teams, shouldn't they?
I think the Championship again. I've always kind of considered the Championship to be kind of the strongest, closest racing kind of division anyway. But I think
most competitive. You're right. Yeah, I get you. Yeah, most competitive, I would say.
So we'll kind of see how that pans out next season. Raising the points limit, I can only see it getting stronger again. Again, it gives you the opportunity with no restrictions to have at least one good reserve. It's going to kind of float in between second string and reserve, really, doesn't it? You'll find that with quite a lot of teams, but this is the most exciting part of the year for me, when now I think we're going to get into a time where the AGM's passed. Really, deals that have been made in principle will now get signed and kind of sealed, and the team announcements will start to kind of flow out. Of course, we've seen Scunthorpe announcing both Jake Allen and Josh Ottey. I think Josh actually get granted a testimonial after the AGM.
That's
there,
correct.
But,
yeah, he did.
I think Jake Allen going back there is a great signing for them. So, as I say, this is probably the most exciting time of the year when you see what riders are going where, really, and I'm sure it'll be a hot topic for us throughout the winter. It keeps us going in material anyway, Paul.
It does indeed, yeah. When you start seeing the teams pull together, and it won't be that long, will it, until we're starting to make our predictions and trying to find out who we think is going to be top of each league, etc., etc. But I think that looking at the Championship, I don't know whether you agree with me, Scott. Do you think a lot of teams will build from the nucleus of riders that they've had in 2017?
Yes. I think so. I think, as I say, I've seen kind of promoters' comments so far about building for the top down this season. You'll probably find that I think that you'll probably see the number ones kind of announced pretty sharpish, and then it'll just kind of filter down really. Again, it's interesting. It's just because I know it's only a couple of points of difference, but it just makes it that bit more interesting, really. That's what I was going to ask, Paul. Have you seen anything mentioned about the last year they had the 2-point average riders in the Championship? Has that been carried on for next season?
Not that I know about. No,
I've not seen anything mentioned on that. I had a quick brief conversation with a promoter today, but they mentioned a 2-point thing, but even they didn't know that it was carried over. So maybe they had one too many mimosas in Tenerife.
You don't expect everybody, for us all, to know all of the rules, do you? Not at this stage.
No,
they haven't all been written down, have they?
No. As I say, the next couple of weeks should be interesting anyway. And as I say, we're going to talk about the Premiership angle of things from the AGM. Of course, as you said, Paul, there's a lot kind of more stir has come up for that. Of course, you mentioned there's only one rider over 8 points that's allowed. It seems a wee bit as if it's giveth to taketh away, really. But me and Graham will talk about that. We don't actually have a guest to kind of tell you about on that one, but coming up in the next couple of weeks we'll have a few guests. We've got Simon Stead lined up, and Roscoe will have different parts of the Greg Hancock interview still to play out as well. So we've got plenty coming up in the coming weeks. Of course, you can check out our show archive on our website as well at Speedway, .co.uk. You can check our archive where all our previous shows are on there. If you have subscribed to the podcast via iTunes, if you could leave a rating and a review on that, I'm told by Graham if that happens, it'll push us up the iTunes rating list or whatever it's called, and people will be able to find us that bit easier. So if you could do that, and of course you can listen through SoundCloud, YouTube, and you can listen on Facebook as well. It'll be available in all those channels, and of course you can subscribe on all of those as well. As I say, me and Graham will be back to kind of talk about the Premiership angle for the AGM probably over the weekend. That podcast will be available as well. Griff, thanks very much for joining us. It's probably a wee bit kind of the Championship side of things isn't your kind of expertise,
well, I don't see an
but
awful...
you've give it a bash.
I told you we'd muddle through, didn't I? No, it's been great. It's good fun.
We did. We got there in the end. And again, thank you very much to Stewart Dickson of the Glasgow Tigers, and of course now the SCB Management Committee as well, for joining us to give us an official angle on things, Griff. But until the next podcast, good night.
Talk Speedway.